That's not what I want. Don't save. Print. Hey, Officer Brown.
Hey, how you doing, Kate? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. Are we the only two on at this point?
I just added Amanda. You want me to kick her back out?
No. Just got some updates from earlier from our email.
I'm specifically curious on the Bramble and Wetzel. How many?
Three.
Three?
In the last 30 days, just 3 runs.
Is that runs and people calling to complain, or?
That's runs dispatched to that, I guess, from people calling.
Okay.
Only 3.
Okay. Yeah, I went down and did decibel readings twice based on the noise, based on code, and wow, yes, for residential it may seem loud. For citywide noise ordinance, it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be much louder than most people think, but
Hey, Al, can you hear me?
yes, I hear you.
Okay, I'm on my car, so I was just making sure that you could hear me and whatnot. Try to figure out how to mute myself.
Hey, Captain, how are you?
She must be muted too.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Amy. Hello, Captain. Hello, Miss Vanity. Hey, Joan.
Hi, Kate.
I almost said good morning. So tired.
Good morning someplace,
Exactly.
just not here.
Profile picture is the cutest. I love that picture.
She's so grown now, though. That she's.
I know it's one of my favorites, but it's totally not reflective of like the child she is today. So.
But I can see her. I can see her in the little face.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Hey, Miss Megan.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I guess I could turn my video on.
Hey, I have good news and bad news. You see where I'm at?
I think you're at a ball game.
I'm coaching my daughter's team, so I'm going to try to do double duty. I'm going to stand off to the side for the meeting. Today was my off day, and I didn't really get off.
Oh.
It's okay. It's for a good cause, right?
It is. Feel free to like put us on mute and come back, because we're supposed to have mayoral candidate Dr. Najoli, who's probably going to get 20-30 minutes depending on questions. So
that was the reason I was kind of hoping you'd say that. I got my AirPods in, so
okay.
I got one AirPod in, so I have ADD, so I can focus on multiple things at once, and nothing if it's one thing.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Hello, Miss Knox. Hey, Alan. Captain Pettis does not look like Captain Pettis today.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Ryan. Thanks for joining.
Hey.
We'll get started here in just a minute. There's Amanda. Amanda, you grew a tail. I guess I'll start my, ooh. I keep moving this back. Nope, this way. All right, I know Miss Megan is new. She's covering for Terry today. Ryan, you're new, you're presenter. I am going to get this ready set up to live stream. So once we go live, anything you say will be in the universe forever. I mean, it's going to be in the universe forever anyway. So I'm going to get that set up. I think we're just about at quorum. So by the time I get this set up, we should be all set to go. So give me just a couple of seconds here. All righty, welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the April 2021 Madisonville Community Council General Body Meeting to order. If you are attending via the webinar, if you could drop your name in the chat just so that we know that you're there. I know a couple of you are logging on, multiple members in one household. That way we can count you for attendance. Chat as well as the video will not only be on the Facebook page going forward, but we also have a YouTube page, so the chat and all the information will be dropped there as well. Welcome to everyone joining us today. We're going to go ahead and start this evening with a moment of silence. Thank you. And if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to kick it over to Amanda, who is going to go ahead, just for all of our newcomers today, to go through the virtual meeting info. Amanda, the floor is yours.
Guys, all right, I'll make this brief. So for those of you that are joining us via Zoom, as attendees.
I love this woman. Her every time.
Can you hear me? Okay. So anyway, for those of you that are joining us via Zoom as attendees, you should have the ability to raise your hand if you would like to speak, or if you have a question that you would like to speak, or if you feel more comfortable, you can use the Q&A feature. We just ask that you use the Q&A feature for questions. If you have comments, please raise your hand and we will unmute you accordingly. If you're out there on Facebook, welcome. We will be monitoring the comments on Facebook for any questions and try to get to those as we can. Just note that there's a bit of a delay out on Facebook, so we might have already moved on. to a different topic by the time we get to your question, but we will try to get to everyone's questions out there. And I think that's really it. As Kate mentioned, we're out there on Facebook Live, so just everybody note that. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. Did Susan send you the treasurer's report? Is it out there with the agenda documents?
Yes, so it should be, there's a meeting agenda link out there in the chat, and there's meeting documents, and those financials are in the meeting documents link.
Okay. I'm going to open up. Are there any questions about the current financials? If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and approve the treasurer's report as presented. Fire department is out on a run. I'm going to kick it over to our resource officer, Officer Brown, and the other captain who's joining us today. The floor is yours, officer.
How's everybody doing? Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you. You're perfect.
Okay, cool. So before I get started, for the newcomers, my number is 979-4429. Before I start reading the stats, I received a call in reference to some concerns for the community, and I'll address them, and the captain, I'll also give her the floor. But in reference to as it was described to me, the gun violence in the 6200 block of Chandler, Bramble and Wetzel, with loud music from the bar, drag racing, loud music from cars, and witnessing of illegal activity. I'll let the captain actually touch on 6200 block of Chandler in reference to that. But just so everyone knows that things are being investigated, I didn't get a chance to start. I just got this complaint reference, Bramble and Wetzel. So I'll talk to the captain about possibly creating 305s where the beat officers will give some attention to those areas and see if we cannot address the offenses as they occur. Captain, I don't know if you want to just jump in before I start with 6200 Chandler.
Yeah, I apologize because I'm multitasking here. I'm actually down at the courthouse doing some work on this protest. So I just wanted to still be on the call to hear the community council concerns and the concerns from the residents in the Madisonville neighborhood. So I apologize if I'm doing a little bit of multitasking here. But as it pertains to the 6200 block of Chandler and some of the concerns that the individuals, the residents on that street have, I can state that myself, my investigative lieutenant in District 2, Officer Brown, and one of the detectives in District 2, we have reached out to the residents, some of the residents there, and we have spoken directly with the involved residents where some of the violence, the gun violence is happening. We've spoken directly with those individuals, so they have been put on notice that the police are investigating. We're employing some other investigative techniques, which for obvious reasons, I don't want to get too much into the specifics of exactly what we're doing, but we are taking a good hard look at that area. And as I said, we've had at least one meeting with the residents that are involved in this. We've also reached out to the homeowner of the rental property where some of the incidents are taking place. We've also consulted the city solicitor, one of the city solicitors, and reached out to him for legal advice, as well as continuing to follow up on some investigative leads reference to the shootings themselves. So I apologize for not being able to give you a lot of the specifics of the techniques that we're using, but I think everybody can understand why we would not get on a Zoom call and begin to divulge all of the strategies. And if anyone has any questions, I can certainly take some general questions as to what we're doing, but I just wanted to jump on this call to reassure the residents in the 6200 block of Chandler that this is a priority for us. We have actually turned this situation into what we call a community-oriented policing problem-solving project. So it is definitely one of our number one priorities in District 2. And again, if, like I said, if someone has questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any of those.
Thank you. Were there any questions for Amanda, either online or in the chat, for Captain Pettis or Officer Brown?
Not see any.
Okay. All right, well, we appreciate both of your time and your hard work, and stay safe, and we appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you both. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Pam Knox from John P. Parker.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening, Madisonville. We are proud to share with you that our tour request is increasing weekly, and we are seeing an uptick in families returning and our new enrollments from the Digital Academy. So we're really happy to embrace all the families, potential and returning, that are coming back into the learning environment. I wanted to share with you also that the Summer Scholars Program, the planning is underway. We are deep in the woods now, creating a very global environmental experience for our learners. Preschool through grade 6 will participate this summer, the month of June, from June 2nd through June 30th, from 8 to 2:30. So we'll have them all day. We're really excited. The preschoolers will come for half day, which is their normal schedule, where they are heavily engaged with academics and fun and social, emotional, and movement, and they will disconnect after lunch. The enrichment starts from 12:15 to 2:30, so we're excited to be able to share. As I confirm more of our partners' participation and schedule, I will be able to share with you some of the activities, if not all of the activities, that we have confirmed for them for in the May meeting. And that's it for us.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Always good to see you.
Always good to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. I do not see the other Miss Pam Water from Schroeder, so we're going to go ahead and move over to Miss Vanity. This evening has the update for Citizens of the World. Let me find her. There you are.
Thank you, Kate. Good evening. Oops.
You're welcome.
Thought I was on mute, sorry. Good, thank you, Kate. Good evening, everybody. We just have a couple of updates to share with you all tonight. We are having our first in-person enrollment event on Wednesday, the 21st. We're really excited about that. We'll be able to provide dinner for families. We're gonna be working with some wonderful restaurants in Madisonville. So looking forward to being able to highlight some great restaurants in the area and provide dinner for families while they enroll in school for next year. It'll be from 5:30 to 6:30, and we'll have more information on all of our social media. So definitely check that out if you are interested. Our application is open and it's on our website, and Amy is putting that in the chat, so feel free to go there, learn more, and apply if you're interested. And we also just wanted to give a huge shout out to the Community Council for I Heart Madisonville Day last Saturday. We had a great time participating and doing lots of wonderful activities with kids, so just wanted to thank you all for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Vanity. And I forgot to ask, were there any questions for Citizens of the World this evening? Any questions online or in the chat?
Nope.
Amanda? Okay. Before we move to the library, were there any questions for Ms. Pam at John P. Parker? I didn't look.
I do not see any.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you both. We appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and move over to Miss Megan from our library. Welcome, Megan. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. If you do a good job, we'll tell Terry he's replaced forever.
So we're a little light on news this month, but the main thing is we are starting up outdoor programming again now that the weather is nice. So we just had our first outdoor program yesterday, and Miss Taya starting back up family story time. The first one is going to be April 17th at 2 o'clock. We are also hoping to have a community garden started sometime in May. I've already sent off to have our, if you guys have seen the little beds, raised beds at the side of the building, we're turning that into a community garden. We are getting the soil tested and buying the plants right now. So just a way to address food insecurity in the neighborhood. I'm hoping to have that up and going by the end of May. And then we also hired a monitor mentor. It's a new position that is meant to basically just be a positive source in the library for the tweens and the teens who aren't really coming in right now, but as soon as we get back to our normal operations, just someone to be there for them and create situations for positive behavior. That's it.
Thank you, Megan. Were there any questions for Megan, either online or in the chat?
Nope.
All right, you guys make this so easy today. All right, with that, we are going to introduce this month's Public Service Candidate Roundtable. Today we have mayoral candidate Dr. Herman Najoli. Welcome, Dr. Najoli.
Thank you so much. It's a joy to be with you.
We're glad to have you here. Go ahead, and what we'll do is we'll have you introduce yourself, tell us anything you want to about your ongoing campaign, and at that point, then we'll open it up for questions. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. Oh my goodness, I am just thrilled by the vibrancy that I'm experiencing in your meeting. Such a delight to see so many different community organizations that are making a difference in Madisonville. I have truly enjoyed being a guest to so many of my friends in Madisonville. I have a friend who runs a community garden who lives at the intersection of, I think it's Wetzel and Chandler. And I have always enjoyed visiting with him. I've enjoyed jogging in the neighborhood. You may have seen some of my pictures or videos jogging last year in the neighborhood. So it's a community that I truly treasure. Many years ago, I was a mentor for young men at New Life Temple, which is on Ward Street. I had a fellow lecturer at National College on Paddock Road who invited me to be one of the teachers at a school that they had going on right there on Paddock Road. It's been about, I'd say maybe 6 years since then. I'm aware that this friend of mine has moved out of state, but I do not know whether that school continues to exist. Well, my name is Herman Najoli. I am a resident of Price Hill. I live right by St. William School, which I can see right outside my window. And I'm running for mayor. I'm running as an independent candidate. I am a complete outsider of politics. I have been a professor at Indiana Wesleyan University. I teach global issues and international business. I have a doctoral degree in organizational leadership, and my dissertation was on the concept of wisdom and citizenship behavior. Some of you might know that last year I ran for county commissioner and ended up with a good number of votes, but not enough to win the seat. Then in November, I decided to enter the race for mayor. And the reason why is because I have had a recent history of studying character in leadership. And then when I saw everything that happened last year with the culture of corruption at City Hall, I was truly convinced after conversations with my family that I am the right person to enter this race. I'm the only independent running. The other 5 candidates are all affiliated to a political party. What I will assure you is if elected mayor, I will be a transformational mayor. I will work hard to bring many different spectrums onto the table. I will work hard to represent all of our 52 neighborhoods. I truly want to be a neighborhoods mayor. I think we've come through a season where we've seen a mayor who's been very friendly to developers. And I think a mayor should truly be more friendly to the residents and the citizens and the neighborhood councils. I want to invest in community councils. I want to be able to invest in truly being present within neighborhoods. For me, one of the reasons I entered this race is because I've lived in Price Hill now going on 15 years, and I've only seen one of my opponents in my neighborhood. And the reason why he came to my neighborhood is because he was running for another national seat in 2018. And I saw him at this school, which is right near my house. Since then, I've never seen him in my neighborhood. And it truly troubles me that we have individuals who run for public office. They show up every 4 years, and then they give us all the platitudes and all promises. They promise heaven and don't show up for another 4 years. And I think that needs to change. One of my focuses over the first, if elected, will be to end the culture of corruption at City Hall. I truly believe that it will take an outsider, a complete outsider of politics, to bring a new culture to City Hall. The insiders cannot do it. They've been part of this whole system and culture for the past 14 years. There's a video on YouTube of one of my opponents saying 8 years ago that he would restore trust in City Hall, which he never did. You've seen what happened last year with the indictments. And I think we truly need a fresh perspective. We need individuals who have a new understanding that they can bring into City Hall. And that is why I'm in this race. I have a passion for youth. I have been a soccer, basketball, and track and field coach at 3 different schools right here on the west side of town. I've been a soccer coach for FC Cincinnati's soccer team in the West End area. This is Western Pride. A number of young boys and girls are learning how to be athletic and how to engage in sports, and I'm one of the coaches who helps them out. I've been an author. I've written a few books. You might be able to see 3 here. My most recent book is Public Servants in Government, Education, and Nonprofit Sectors, which is a compilation of my thinking on what it means to be a leader. And I have a few other books which are basically inspirational and motivational in nature.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Najoli. We'll go ahead and at this point, open it up for questions. Amanda, were there any questions online or in the chat this evening?
We do have a question from Anna in our chat, and she would like to know why you're running as an independent.
I'm running as an independent because I have truly been dissatisfied with the polarization in our city politics. We've had individuals who run based on political party affiliation, and therefore they end up in toxic turf wars and fail to focus on the needs of communities. For instance, in 2017, there was a huge study that was conducted all across the city, all 52 neighborhoods. They asked residents, what are the important things in your neighborhood and in the city as a whole that you want to see addressed? The residents identified 26 key issues. No one in city council has ever talked about that study. In fact, for some who are running, I know that that study is just gathering dust in their offices down at City Hall. I want to be able to address all these issues. And I truly feel like it doesn't take a political party affiliation to address the needs of a community. If you have a pothole in your neighborhood, it doesn't matter whether the person filling it is a Democrat or Republican. You just want someone who'll get the job done. I think the person most equipped to get a good job done is a person who's non-partisan, completely independent, so that we can bring many different voices to the table. And I will focus on being able to reach out to individuals who have traditionally been marginalized, maybe because of the parties that they identify with, or because of the organizations that they're affiliated with. I truly want to see everyone at the table. And I think it takes an independent mindset to be able to really bring everyone to the table so that we can address the key issues that are troubling our communities.
Thank you, Dr. Najoli. We had a question in the chat. If you guys could drop the questions in the Q&A so we can keep track of them. Dr. Najoli, how would you address the housing needs and issues that we have in Cincinnati? And how would an improved moral approach improve these needs? That's from Beverly.
All right. I am grateful that we have issue 3 on the ballot. I believe that the main purpose of issue 3 is a wake-up call. Our politicians have kicked the can down the road for so many years. They've been unwilling to tackle the issue of lack of affordable housing, the issue of homelessness. And I think every system deserves to have what is called like a shock every so often, or a disruption. This is simply something to wake up individuals to let them know that, hey, we have a serious need in this area that we need to address. Now, it is not a perfect way to address a policy problem through mandated funding, but we can find other approaches down the road. For instance, if you look at the city of Austin, Texas, in 2018, they funded their Affordable Housing Trust Fund using a municipal bond, $252 million bond. Look at Portland, Oregon. The same year, they passed a $625 million municipal bond. Just look it up, you'll be able to see that online. And other cities are way ahead of us. And you've heard of the story that Cincinnati is always 10 years behind other cities. We shouldn't be way behind these other cities. There are things we can do. We could have municipal bonds. We could relax some of our zoning rules so that we have more equity across all of our 52 neighborhoods. So in terms of housing, addressing housing, those are some 2 key things that I would look into: the idea of a municipal bond, or the idea of relaxing zoning rules. And I'm also creating what I call a roadmap for housing. If you go to my website, drnajoli.com/housing, you will find that roadmap. One of the key things that I want to focus on is how we can help individuals who have housing choice vouchers to be able to move out of those into a more independent idea or level of living. I live in Pricey. We have a high percentage of individuals on HCV vouchers, and we truly need to make a move to the level whereby individuals can be able to move forward and find housing independent of services like those.
Thank you. Indy has a question for you. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen with Indy because it was extremely long, and I think he'll speak to it better than I can read it. Go ahead, Indy.
Thanks, Kate. Also, sorry for being on mute and video. I'm doing dishes. Nobody needs to see that. Hi, Dr. Najoli. It's really nice to have you here spending some time with us in Madisonville. So my question, and you're kind of getting at it in your last response. I appreciate that. I really appreciate the stance against corruption, but to be honest, like that does feel like a pretty common stance at this point, given what's going on in city politics. So I'm really interested, if I were to be able to, tell someone about your candidacy, in addition to this stance against corruption, what are the top 2 to 3 very specific policy positions that you actually take, right? So, if you were to become mayor, what are the 2 to 3 biggest changes we would see in Cincinnati in the lives of residents, not necessarily in the halls of City Hall?
Okay, perfect. That's a great question. If I may go back and just briefly touch on that corruption issue again, I have a doctoral degree in organizational leadership, and I've been able to create what I call a checklist of good leader behaviors. I want to bring that checklist into city government and administration so that every quarter I can meet with councillors and with city administrators and address how they are meeting all of those objectives in the checklist. Now, specifically for residents, one, simply making sure that I am present within the neighborhood so that we can address the needs of the communities. I will, one, make sure that we continue to, or we focus very carefully on neighborhood community councils. I think they are critical to being able to address the issues that are going on in our city. Look at the issue of the money that has been, or that is coming into the city on the stimulus. We've got a mayor who's quickly just rattling out all the things that he will do with that funding instead of going first and foremost to the community councils to find out what is going on in the communities that need to be addressed urgently. For instance, there are some communities which do not have recreation centers. There are some communities which simply want to have mentoring programs for youth. I just had Officer Brown mention some of the challenges that they are having with community policing. If we have mentoring in those communities, it will be transformational for individuals who have a tendency to get involved in crime within those neighborhoods. One of the things I want to do is to create what I call a Council of Outstanding and Responsible Elders. This will be individuals handpicked from different communities who will become mentors within those communities. And I know your librarian just mentioned that they have a mentoring program. Was it Miss Megan Powell?
Yeah, it's not a mentoring program. It's a new position. So it's a staff member who's called a monitor mentor, specifically to interact with the kids and the teens in the library.
Okay, perfect. I do understand that. And every so often I frequent another library downtown, the Western Library, and I see so much trouble with the youth who come without supervision into that library. So that is a terrific initiative. And I believe within every community, we can identify individuals who are responsible elders, who are willing and available to serve as mentors within those communities. And let us provide them with all the supports that they need so that they can begin to put together those pieces that allow for good mentoring relationships. I think that there is a disconnect between the generations, so that individuals who are of a much advanced age, they do not have enough interaction with younger folk. And therefore they cannot be able to transfer good values to individuals, which enable for a tighter knit society. So if we have those mentoring relationships in every neighborhood, that is a policy that can be very transformational for residents. I am an educator. I have a passion for education. I want to find avenues along with the help of CPS, through which we can be able to advance a passion for purpose in every community. I think when individuals have a sense of purpose, of direction, of vision, then they have no room to be caught up in any of the vices or ills of society. And I recognize that we've never had an educator run for mayor for some of us in our entire history in this city. We've only seen lawyers run for public office, and that troubles me when we only have individuals from one specific profession run for public office, and educators who are key to making a difference within our communities sometimes choose to stay away from the process of public office. So I realize it would be a great shift to move away from the tradition of electing lawyers and to elect someone who's an educator. I think for this season in Cincinnati, we truly need an educator so that we can focus on educating the public and educating new members of City Council on what it means to be an excellent leader within the community.
Thank you. Amanda, were there any questions online or in the chat?
Yes, we had a question come in through our Q&A, and then we also have one out on Facebook. I'll read the questions in the Q&A first. It's from Anna, and she says, in 2020, Cincinnati saw the highest number of firearm homicides ever. As mayor, what would you do to address gun violence and promote gun safety?
I support the removal of illegal guns from our streets. We will need to work with a new police chief to ensure that we have a more robust mechanism of identifying those weapons that should not be on our streets and removing them. Secondly, I've also talked about the idea of purpose. I want to see a police chief, since Chief Isaacs is retiring, I want to see a police chief who truly is connected to younger generations, is connected to the everyday person who's roaming on our streets, who's truly going to be visible to want to understand what is going on in people's lives. I believe that leadership is first and foremost about empathy. Empathy means being able to fit into someone else's shoes, to feel what they are going through, and to experience the life that they are feeling. So as mayor, I will look for a chief who truly can be empathetic with individuals in their different communities and find avenues through which they can create programs that allow for a newer sense of connection with communities. I hope that helps. So that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Amanda, you said there was another question?
Yes, this was a question from Ms. Jones on Facebook. She's just wondering, you mentioned the checklist. What does that checklist look like?
It is a series of 9 character values, and I have listed them on my website. If you go to drnajoli.com, you can download this very beautiful platform. Now, there are only 2 candidates in this race who have published platforms on their websites. So I think you should look at both platforms and just compare what we are talking about. For me, on the checklist of good leader behaviors, I have listed 9 key issues that should be addressed within a person's leadership capacities. So please download the document. It is a 28-page document. I actually have 2 documents on my website. One is this checklist of good leader behaviors, and second is what I call a 4-year plan. It just starts with detailing my first 100 days, the things that I will focus on, and then year by year, year 1, year 2, year 3, some of the things that we could focus on during my term as mayor. For instance, year 1, focusing on basic services in government, making sure that trash collection, litter, cutting tall grass, getting rid of litter, we address all of those things. So I have those 2 documents that you can download on my website. And if possible, I'm going to add some links to the chat here in a minute.
Absolutely, please do, that'd be great. We had another question. What does the doctor think about issue 3? That's from Bob and Liz.
Issue 3, like I mentioned, I believe is like a wake-up call, a disruption to our system so that we can begin to focus a lot more on the issue. Now, I do not know whether it will pass. It seems as if there is tremendous energy to see it pass. I used to work at City Gospel Mission. I'm the one who started their job training and housing program. In fact, in 2015, I was named one of Cincinnati's 40 under 40 for my work in helping homeless men. So I truly support affordable housing, and I support the reduction of homelessness in our city. And I think we can achieve it. But I believe that it will take more than just city action. There will need to be some state action, perhaps even a federal bill, a big federal bill which will address affordable housing. You remember many years ago when we had problems with traffic all across the country, about 50 to 60 years ago, the federal government came up with the Federal Aid Highway Act, which resulted in the building of so many of the interstates, the highways that a lot of people enjoy nowadays. So we will need a bill of that nature, which truly is a landmark bill to address affordable housing around the country. But I think in terms of just having a wake-up call for the city of Cincinnati, this provides that foundation, but we will need to also perhaps attract the for-profit world into realizing that this is an issue that they can take on for the sake of corporate responsibility. We will need to have what are called in some communities benefits corporations. A benefit corporations, or a B Corp, is an organization which commits to providing a certain number of affordable housing units whenever they build any other market rate units. So there needs to be a few other things that can be done in order for this problem to be addressed fully.
Thank you. I'm going to go first touch on what are your thoughts about using funds from the American Rescue Act for affordable housing? That's from Beverly, and she also has another question, but go ahead since we're on the topic of housing. We'll do that one first.
I support that, and I think that was put forward by Councilman John Michel Lemoncani. So what I would also like to see is those funds from the American Rescue Act being able to equitably distributed in our neighborhoods, particularly those neighborhoods that have not been a focus, that maybe I'd say some of our forgotten neighborhoods. When I petitioned to run for mayor, I collected so many signatures from East Westwood and the Beekman corridor. I look at neighborhoods like those, South Fairmount, as forgotten neighborhoods. And we truly need to be able to have a level of equitable distribution of those funds within all of our neighborhoods.
Thank you. Beverly also had a question about what are your thoughts for gun safety with legal weapons?
I thought we talked about that earlier, right? Say that again, repeat the question.
Do you have any thoughts for gun safety with legal weapons? And this may have already been answered. I'm going through and making sure we've answered everything in the chat.
Okay, yes. I think the question also relates to the Second Amendment. I support the Second Amendment, and I think people should be safe and protect themselves. We need to have education, particularly for those individuals who might not be able to know how to handle themselves well. So we need to have good education within all of our communities and with individuals, provide CCW classes so that we truly do not have the negative effects of use of weapons.
Okay, thank you. Amanda, were there any other questions online or in the chat?
No.
All right. Well, before we wrap up with you, any last words, Dr. Najoli?
Hey, I just want to say that I believe my mindset and my preparation makes me the most ideal candidate. Now I am running against 5 individuals who are fully funded and supported by an affiliation to a political party. I'm the only candidate actually who lives west of I-75. Everyone lives east of I-75, but I want to be a neighborhood's mayor. I have been to every neighborhood in this city, particularly when I ran for county commissioner. Some of you may have seen me jogging in Madisonville, and I have a few friends who enjoy biking in the neighborhood. So I definitely will be present, will be very available. In fact, if you have any questions, call me on my cell phone number. My number is 513 LEADERS, LEADERS, or 513-532-3377. I will respond the same day. I won't claim to be an expert on everything, but I will get politics out of the way so that the experts can do their job. We have experts, and one expert will be like a city manager. I will make sure that a city manager that we hire is a certified city manager. The city manager we currently have is not a certified city manager. There's an organization nationally that certifies city managers. So when we have certified city managers, we tend to have more professional approach and a very good administrative leadership within city or municipal governments. So I hope I'll have your vote. You can vote earlier at the Board of Elections or vote for Najoli on May 4th at your polling center.
Thank you very much, Dr. Najoli. We appreciate you joining us here this evening. We look forward to watching the race and seeing how it progresses.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. It's a joy.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
We look forward to doing this every month. We have so far had 3 of our mayoral candidates join us, so we look forward to having the remaining 3 join us in the coming months. Keep on attending, ask your questions. You guys had some really great questions, so we look forward to continuing that process. We're gonna go ahead and move to our MCC board reports. Just a couple of updates on my end as Elishia, excuse me, not Elishia, as Vanny mentioned, we did have I Heart Madisonville Day this past Saturday. It rained. Still, there were lots of people out enjoying everything that Madisonville has to offer, supporting our nonprofits, supporting our businesses. Don't let it just be one day. Keep up the momentum as we're coming out of this pandemic season, as more and more people are comfortable getting out with the warmer weather. We look forward to seeing everyone out and supporting Madisonville. With I Heart Madisonville, we did have our initial parks planning kickoff. You will be seeing some parks planning information coming out both in the newsletter. There's also going to be a survey that's going to be coming out as we're doing the parks planning in conjunction with Cincinnati Parks, with the CRC, with MCURC, and the Community Council. If you haven't had a chance to fill out that survey, please do so. This is your park. We want to know what you want in your park, because there's no point in planning a park that nobody wants to go to. So we look forward to getting that information, specifically our young people. It's something that both Elishia Chamberlain with MCURC and I had noticed looking over other community parks planning processes. There tends to be a lot of engagement from the over 25 crowd. But when you go to the park, at least from my perspective, I'm seeing a lot of under 25 crowd. So we especially want to hear from that demographic. So we urge you to have your kids fill it out, ask your kids what they think. We're going to be doing some specific parks planning around our young people. And really capturing their ideas. I always joke that if you ask my 7-year-old, she says she wants a castle in the park, and I believe that nothing is out of bounds. So keep those ideas flowing as we work toward getting a robust parks plan that everybody can appreciate and enjoy. We have been invited to present at the City of Cincinnati Neighborhoods Committee. We will be doing that. I will have Amanda post the official date. That's a really exciting opportunity because we'll have the opportunity to present Madisonville in its entirety to the Neighborhoods Committee and our City Council staff. So we look forward to doing that. It's an opportunity for us to get in front of City Hall, share what's happening in our neighborhood, share budget concerns that we may have, things that we'd like to see going forward, not just for our neighborhood, but for the city as a whole. So we will share that date with everyone, and we hope you can join us and support. We're going to be sending out, April is going to be the month of surveys. We're going to be sending out some surveys as the weather warms up. We've had a lot of requests for in-person meetings. As the governor is starting to lift some of those restrictions, I've had some really good conversations with Brian Cervisi at the CRC about getting outside possibly as early as May, June, to get outside and hold those meetings back at our designated location of the CRC. So we're going to be sending out some surveys because we want to make sure that as we're engaging with people, it's something that the residents are wanting to actively do. We've had mixed reviews with Zoom, with the Zoom engagement, with being online. It's great because you can access it at any point in time if you miss the meeting. The downside is like with everything else in life right now, everything is Zoom oriented and people are missing just that in-person interaction. So we're looking forward to getting back into that swing and those habits. Staff reports, it is with both expectation and sadness that I am announcing that our Business and Economic Development Chair, Terry Henry, has resigned from her position. She is also the business chamber president. So when I say with expectation and sadness, it's something that she and I had talked about as the business chamber got running full steam ahead. When the business and economic development chair was first added to council years ago, there was no business chamber. Now that we have a business chamber, a lot of those duties and things have been taken on by the business chamber. So we're looking at what that transition is going to be like, and assessing what the needs and the expectations would be for that chair position going forward, if it in fact will be needed, if it's responsibilities that can be spread between other committees. So we will keep you posted on that. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to committee reports. I'm going to kick it first off to Joan Willis. Joan with beautification, the floor is yours. You have to unmute yourself though, Joan.
Now that should work. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I wanted to let people know that on Saturday, April 10th, about 20 volunteers came out to help clean up parts of Madisonville. They were organized by Alex Smith on our committee. Cincinnati, Keep Cincinnati Beautiful provided volunteers from various corporations, and Groundworks brought a team of and their group over to work. We cleaned up the Erie Median. All the dandelions that were growing there are now gone. We cleaned up the Murray Triangle, and we worked on Roe Park. And so I want to say thank you to everybody who came out and volunteered. I could really tell the difference when I drove back into town on Monday. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 6th, from 6 o'clock to 7:30. It'll probably be via Zoom, but maybe we'll have a meeting at, outside someplace if it's going to be nice weather. It's going to be an important meeting because we're going to discuss the curb appeal and the garden tour. So anyone who is interested, please send me an email at beautification@ourmadisonville.com, and I'll include you in the invitation to join our meeting. And finally, for the past few years, the council has authorized $300 from general funds to allow us to pay an individual, a Madisonville individual, to mow the lawn at Hawk Park. Hawk Park is our little park right where Indian Hill Avenue dead ends into Plainville Road. And he's done a nice job for us for the past couple of years, and we'd like to do the same. So I would like to move that the Community Council authorize $300 from the general funds to be used to cover mowing Hawk Park this year. And other than that, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Joan. Joan has a motion on the floor. Is there a second for that motion? If someone could just show a raise of hands. Thank you. Is there any discussion? I'm going to put everyone's hands down and then see if there's. All right, if there's no discussion, I will go ahead and drop the poll in the.
Had a hand go back up, Kate. Oh, maybe
not. Oh, do we have a hand go back up? Did you see who it was?
Maybe.
Shannon, putting you on the spot. Did you have a question?
It's done by mistake. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Good to see you, Shannon. Actually, I do have a question for you, Joan. Are we putting the mowing out for bid?
No, the gentleman who lives next door to Hawk Park, is the individual who we have had mow for the past couple of years. We didn't put it out to bid because basically it was the convenience factor. He lives there, he's willing to do it. And so we did not put it out to bid.
Okay. Is that just for Hawk Park or is that for all the trolley parks? I'm asking because I thought it was for all the trolley parks. So I'll need to
No, it's
adjust
just for
the-
Hawk because the city mows the other two parks on a regular basis. They're city-owned properties, or they're city, I don't know if they're city-owned properties, but they're city-managed properties. The Parks Board takes care of that.
Okay. Okay, if there are no other, oh, somebody's got a question. I see another hand, I have to find it. Oh, it's Carrie. Carrie, go ahead. Carrie's got a question.
Oh, all right, cool. I didn't know if that worked, how it worked. Yeah, I guess like the question is like, so Hawk Park is privately owned, I guess is.
There's a part of Hawk Park that's, Alex Smith would be more knowledgeable about this. There's a part of Hawk Park that is privately owned, and there's a part that's part of the Little Duck Creek Trail slice of property. That's my answer. That's the answer.
All right, because that's not true. All of that land on Plainville is privately owned.
Oh, all of it is? There's,
Mm-hmm.
then I guess it,
The Little Duck Creek land that's owned by the city via the park board does not reach Plainville. That's the reason why the trail suddenly ends where it does.
then it may well be privately owned. In fact, now that you mention it, back when Alex got his grant to develop those 3 little parks, I believe that he was able to negotiate with one of the property owners who doesn't have a building or anything on there. And he may not even live in town. Again, I'm just kind of, I don't know this exactly. We can fill you in on this with more detail later. But he got authority to make that into a little park on that person's property. One of the people who live next door to the property is the one who would mow it when he's mowing his own grass.
Okay. My concern is that we're paying someone to basically mow their own property is the concern.
I can find out if the person who is mowing is the one who owns it, but I believe it's a different person. So I think he's mowing his own lawn and then he's mowing this other lawn as well. But yes, that is private property, which he has allowed us to use as a park.
Okay. Elishia, actually, this is related but completely unrelated, and something we can explore at a later time, Joan. Elishia actually mentioned there should be an easement if funding was awarded. Otherwise, because it becomes a liability. So let's look into that as well.
Okay.
For the sake of this, looks like we've got one other question. I see the hand, but I gotta find it. Oh, hey, Alex. I feel like I keep, oh, there we go. Wait. Did I unmute you? Hold on.
Can you hear me?
There we go. I kept clicking too fast. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
That's fine. I just joined. I actually just came in. So I just came in the very tail end. Maybe put me up to speed what the question is and what the concerns are, and I can help clarify.
We're talking about Jones got a motion on the floor for $300 to pay to have Hawk Park mowed. There's a question. The question on the floor is the person that we're paying, are they also the owner of the property?
Okay, they own one piece of 3 parcels. So that's the answer to that.
So that park is made up of 3 different parcels?
Correct. So So what's the concern, or how can I help? I'm just sorry, I don't know what
The
question
concern
was.
is if the person that's mowing it, and Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, if the person that's mowing it owns one of the parcels of this park, are we technically paying somebody to cut their own grass for lack of?
No. I kind of heard Carrie mention that. Here's the situation. This is part of those 3 parks that were granted through the Meyerson Foundation grant. We as a community have taken on, in essence, stewardship of those 3 parcels.
Right.
We have a tacit agreement with Carl, who owns across the stream bed into his house. And then the middle piece is owned by a gentleman named, as escapes, you have to look at my file. He lives in Madisonville. He gave us an agreement. The third is a non-show owner who I believe lives in Lebanon, not the foreign country, but Lebanon, up north of us.
Yeah.
And so we as a community have taken on ownership, similar to how we have taken on ownership to Trolley Park and Roe Park. So if we don't mow it, we as a community will be binged for it from the city, because we have taken kind of like in a revocable permit in essence. I mean, I'm not sure if it's that official, but so Carl mows not only the lawn or the piece of turf that he essentially owns, also the middle one. And then the other person, actually the person who lives on that house, the next house, mows more than his property. So I guess as a community, we're just taking care of a piece of green space that would otherwise be unmowed, and we would get fined as a community, because we are really, that was part of the agreement with the Meyerson Foundation grant. So if that clarifies that for everybody, that's sort of where we are with that.
Carrie, does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, that was just, kind of, curious how all worked and stuff. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, I can see your concern, Carrie, but Carl's not being paid to mow his own. He's actually getting $30, which is pretty reasonable to take care of that site. He picks up the garbage. He actually is telling me he's going to be removing more honeysuckle. So he truly is a caretaker, eyes on the site. Otherwise, that would be what it was when we visited it 4 years ago. An ugly green space full of garbage and honeysuckle and overgrown plants. So that's why it is the way it looks today.
Alex, just for your reference, there's a question. Somebody's asking if we have the agreements, if we can actually see those and get those shared. And there's a question about insurance that we can actually touch on at a later point in time. If there are any more questions specific to this $300 ask, I'm going to go ahead and put the poll up. If we want to continue chatting about who insures it and the agreements. This is specific to general body funds. So if you are a dues paying member, you are able to vote. And we'll keep that poll up for a couple of minutes. Because that's specifically, since MCC are the stewards of that, if we don't have copies of those online, if we can get those to Amanda, that'd be great. We can actually put those, we can actually build a page, put those in the park section, do a nice section of here are our pocket park maps, how to get to them, a little bit of the history behind it. I think that'd be great that we can share that with the residents. And then for insurance purposes, somebody actually asked about insurance. That's actually, I'm always the insurance. Joan will tell you, I'm always like, do we get waivers? Do we have insurance? That's something that we'll want to look into as well. With the other two, I know the city kind of takes care of that, but with Hawk Park, there may be some additional liability and questions that we want to make sure that as an organization we're covered. And all of our residents are covered if anything were to happen. So I'll have Joan circle back with you. We can get that information. That'd be amazing.
Alex and I can pull that together and provide that to you. Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. All righty. I'm gonna, Joan, you don't have to share your face anymore. We love seeing you. Always good to see you.
I thought I'd been sharing my face all along.
This entire time, it's been all you. We love it. Stephanie was unable to join. It's kids, as we know, it's kids sports season. When we had last talked with Arts and Recs, we're in full swing for planning for Tuesdays at the Park. So if you know of any Madisonville local talent, if you have any Madisonville local talent, we're in the process of getting all of the acts booked for Tuesdays at the Park this summer. With that, we are doing a fundraiser for Tuesdays at the Park. We have this super cool pin that was designed for 2021 I Heart Madisonville. We had just started releasing it. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can all see it. It is an ode to everyone's favorite bridge. Can everybody see my screen? Someone that's on the panel nod and shake your head.
Yes.
Perfect. So we had actually kicked off the sale of these. We actually hadn't even officially kicked off the sale of these online. Stephanie had initially ordered 50. We hadn't even released them really to the general public. We had just added them to the site and we're down to 3 without even trying. So Stephanie actually would like to request that we order some more. She's actually using this as a fundraiser to offset the costs of Tuesdays in the Park. For those of you that are new to Madisonville or new to community events, Sarah Sheets and I re-kicked off Tuesdays in the Park. Sarah, what was that, like 3, almost 4 years ago? Bringing back bands, we had Madcap, we had Shakespeare, just getting people back in the park, getting people back out and engaged in the summertime months. Tuesday was one of those days where people were looking for something to do and it seemed perfect. You know, we partnered with Artsville, with the CRC, a little bit of everything. This year, I know Carrie is looking forward to doing some personalized tours of the trail in the park. But in order to make that happen, we are always looking to secure additional funding so we can bring back the cool things like the petting zoo and the, like I said, the different artistic outlets and bands and things that we do. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because we've already, thank you, Amanda, for dropping the link for the pins. Because we're already down to the last 3 and people have already reached out and said they would like to buy significantly more. Stephanie is asking for an additional $400 to basically reinvest in the fundraiser so that we can actually do the programming for Tuesdays in the Park. So if we can get that motion on the floor. It's the one motion I actually didn't type up today. And I'm going to assume that that's a hand raise for a motion, and then we'll open up for questions in a second. If I can get a second. Thank you, Carrie. We'll open it up for questions. You guys make no questions so easy. Give me just a second. I don't type as fast as I used to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the first vote for the motion to support the expenditure of $300 for the mowing of Hawk Park. 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 abstained. Let me go ahead and share those. All righty, and then I'm going to go ahead and launch the voting for the PIN fundraiser.
You have a question about the pin.
Is there a profit made on the pins? Yes, we make a $6 profit on the pins. So your purchase, your $10 purchase goes toward basically all of the, like I said, all the programming. We do giveaways for the kids. So we've done safety Crime and Safety gives away bike helmets. We do a giveaway each Tuesday. Every kid gets a free ticket and they have a chance to walk away with something cool based on what the theme is that week. We try to make sure that there is something for everyone to do, that no money is required. You basically just come, hang out, show up. You know, CRC brings down, you know, volleyball and extra footballs and extra basketballs, and Artsville always has some really cool craft opportunity to do. It's just a really good time for everyone. Last year, I know we did beer sales. I don't know that we're going to do that again this year because of the pandemic, but especially with everything that happened 2020 and now 2021, people are anxious just to get outside and just be. So, by the way, hi, Miss April. I'm going to give it just another minute here. While we're letting that poll sit, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Carrie for transportation update. Carrie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I had, as a brief, last month I had my meeting with planners from Metro, sorta, and they were able to send me data from before the pandemic of our neighborhood specifically, of boardings and alightings within the neighborhood. So that was really good information that we can use in the future to understand the popular places in the neighborhood where people use the bus service. I know last week there was a complaint about buses speeding, and when it comes to complaints on a bus driver of any kind, basically just reach out to the customer service line, or you also can show up at their offices downtown, where they have customer service office. Just easily reachable online. And what'll happen is every bus has their own unique identifier for that specific bus, not like the route number, but like the actual physical bus itself. And so you always can just use that number to report, any kind of complaints for the service, and they can handle it internally from there. That includes, so speeding, for example, or any kind of behavior by the bus driver in general, either if you're on the bus or around the bus. Some more information that they gave me is because of the levy that was passed this past year, the number of buses are expected to come online in year 3 of the plan. So we're in year 1, because it takes over a year for them to bid and purchase and deliver new buses. So that kind of expanded fleet is going to take some time. Some good news is that, another thing I wanted to talk to them about was our access to grocery stores. And that's kind of tough because the grocery stores that we have are not designed for the bus service. They're only designed to be accessed by car. So over at Oakley Station, for example, that whole development is privately owned. So they can't actually drive up to Kroger. They can't drive up to Walmart down here in Fairfax either, because that's a private development. So the one thing that we can that they have the ability to do though is move where the stops are. So they can adjust the stops to put it in a place that's safer to cross, for example, the street, which is an important part down by Walmart, because it's in the middle of a block that's very long and dangerous to cross. So that's the kind of feedback that is relatively easy to change. They do have updated map information online now, because as of April 1st, we no longer have 2 zones. Hamilton County is all one big zone now. And in May, some of the services is going to change. So the 11 that serves the neighborhood will increase service. My dog. I have also been fiddling with the Fix-It Cincy app and website with public services to see what kind of things that we can get them to fix. So I know there was that pothole on Murray Road that people are really upset about that is just going to consume the whole road eventually. And so I ended up having to call them directly to get them to address it. That's the other one was the stop bar markings for the new intersections have faded away. And so trying to see if we can kind of lean on public services to fix that, which is kind of hard because they're pretty understaffed. Yeah, I just fixed a down sign today too. Got them in Bramble Park. So that was a complaint over the weekend. So that's good to know that they're actually very quick about it. So if you ever see potholes or messed up signs, they're actually really quick about it. Shout out to Miss Tony. She posted online about the Duke Streetlight app, because I don't know if people are aware of this, but the streetlights that we have are all the responsibility of Duke Energy, not the city. But their app is same thing. They have an app where you can report outages, and they fix it real quick. I'm really happy about that. And I'm trying to work on. I had a neighbor who's complained about kind of a dead spot near me where it's just a big black void at night. And so you can also use the Duke Energy app to request new lights, and they will forward it. In our case, they'll forward it to the city, and the person from the city actually was super supportive of that. And all you have to do is get permission by all the neighbors who would be affected by the new light. So that's just something I'm trying to run through as well. And there's a reason why I hide this toy. But other than that, yeah, still fielding responses from building a list of concerns in the neighborhood for safety and for increased transportation. Thanks.
Carrie, there's a question for you. Ann asked, what is a zebra stripe?
Oh, yeah, it's a great one. If you go to Madison Wetzel, that is a zebra stripe crosswalk, while the ones at Bramble and Wetzel are not. Those are traditional, just two lines. And so that's where you're seeing the trend move towards zebra crosswalks that, draw more of your attention when you're driving, and it's more obvious.
And Bob and Liz had a question as well. Bob and Liz, the floor is yours.
Yeah, sorry, I had two quick questions for transportation. I saw in the Madisonville News that there's a proposal to move the Madison and Anderson Place crosswalk. And I just wonder where that is. And also the railroad crossing up near, I'm gonna have the street wrong, but up near the Alley Cat Rescue, kind of heading towards Erie. We can request a traffic count there, since MedPace has kind of increased the traffic through there. And if the traffic count is high enough, they will authorize or require the railroad to put in arms, which will alleviate the need for the trains to sound at 3 a.m. And I didn't know if that's something we could request a traffic count there. Thank you.
So for Anderson Place crosswalk, I think that was last year. That was in the neighborhood development grant request, and so I guess we'd find out about that in May, I believe. That's still under review essentially. And that's honestly, that's gonna be a tough one. So that's a pretty big project. So we'll have to find out and wait until May to see what options they give us, and essentially. And so, yeah, you're talking for the rail line. Yes, that is Rose Street. I think technically, and Orlando Place and Peabody Avenue. So yeah, so it's something I can look into and add to my list, which for historical context, how Alley Cat Rescue, that building, that's actually used to be the passenger station for Madisonville, or one of two passenger stations in Madisonville for commuters. Yeah, I can add it to my list. We're working on it.
Awesome, thank you.
I have a question from
Go ahead,
Vanessa. Sorry, I have a question from Vanessa on Facebook. She's wondering if there's any updates on the loss of bus stops.
Yeah, so that was a previous program like a year or two ago, and called Fast Stops. And so what it boils down to is you have this kind of push and pull for bus stops, because you have too many of them, then the bus will stop too often. And it will take forever to get anywhere, right? So So they already optimized the system for a number of bus stops. Now, if there is a specific intersection where you think that there should be a bus stop, that's definitely something that we can request. But again, part of reinventing Metro is that we will have, I think, 2 routes that will serve Madisonville in the future. But again, they have to buy the buses and they have to hire more employees and train them up and stuff like that. So it's going to take a minute. But if there is a specific spot that isn't being served, we can definitely request that. But they definitely did that with data in hand, because they do know how many people get off at every single boarding and every place they get on. That helps.
It does. Thank you, Carrie. Amanda, were there any other questions online or in the chat?
Not pertaining to transportation.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you, Carrie. We appreciate it. Ms. Tony was not able to be here this evening for Youth Community Council, but she did want to let everyone know that applications will be available for summer job employment at the Music Resource Center by Monday, April 18th. There is a new sports youth program coming to Madisonville, which will connect neighborhood schools. Mr. Don Newberry from Schroeder, who's also coincidentally from Madisonville, and Andre Williams, who is actually here with us this evening, who is the coach for the Young Jaguars, is putting together that program. They, I'm not sure if you guys got rained out or not this past Saturday, but they're doing the free open clinics for the youth football and cheerleading. There are
hey, Kate,
oh.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I think that Miss Tony is an attendee.
Oh, is she? Oh, wait, she is.
Yeah,
I didn't
I think
see
she
you.
popped in.
I'm sorry. Well, then I'm going to stop talking and kick it over to Miss Tony.
Sorry to interrupt you like that.
No, that is perfectly fine. Where'd she go? Did she join? There she is. Miss Tony, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, lovely lady. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know how far you went. I heard you say that Andre was there. I don't know what you read. If you read everything, that's all I've got, Kate.
I got all the way to MCC applications and Indy stopped me. So continue with that part. I apologize. I didn't see you.
No. It keeps going in and out. Right now, there's some sign over it. I can't really see you at all.
Oh.
So it may go out in a minute. So you might want to go on and finish that, because this might jump out again. It hasn't been connected for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I was about to share that you were sharing that there's applications for the MYCC. They're at the rec center. And I know you guys are working on the garden, your outdoor garden project with the greenhouse. And that was literally the last part of it.
With the paint stuff, did you put that down, the painting?
No, what painting are you doing? Tell us about it.
Oh, I thought I put that down there. I said, anybody interested in working with the kids and helping with the painting of the chess tables? But I mean, that might be something we'll do with the summer employment. So that may not be a big issue.
Okay. We did secure NSP funding, so summer youth employment, you brought that up. Do you have an idea of when those applications are going to be ready for summer youth employment?
They will be there on the 18th.
On the 18th?
Yeah, on Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be down there on Tuesday, and the identification of everything and who to call and all of that. And then what we normally do is we call the kids and let the parents know what days, what dates that they're signed up for ahead of time, and we go from there.
Perfect. Well, all righty.
I'm sorry I got in so late. This phone doesn't always act right. I've been told by my grandson to get another one.
I'm glad you're able to, I'm glad you're able to join us this evening. It's always good to hear your voice. So, all right, perfect.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Let's go back to, All righty, let me go ahead and end the poll for the PIN fundraiser for Tuesdays at the Park. 23 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 abstained. Thank you for that. We will get more ordered and get those out. In the meantime, go ahead on online support and support the purchase. Upcoming events are listed out on our madisonville.com as well as on social media. Thank you, Amanda, for always doing that. Full committee chair and contact list and meeting dates are in the newsletter and online on the website as well. Amanda, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you if you had any communication updates for anyone before we moved over to agency announcements.
No major update other than thank you, Elishia, Chamberlain, Jordan, Kate, and everyone else who participated in this newsletter. I just got mine in the mail today. So we dropped them off, what is today, Thursday? We dropped them off Tuesday, mid-morning. So I expect people should start receiving them throughout this week. Hopefully everybody's got theirs in hand early next week. If you don't get one for whatever reason, or if you can't wait, I believe Kate dropped off several at the library, in different places around Madisonville, different businesses. So you can definitely
Pretty soon
stop
again.
in. We will also have it an online edition available as well. That link will be shared out later this week. So if you want to read it that way, it'll be there as well. But thank you guys.
Thank you, Amanda. Indy had an update with education. I apologize, Indy. Let me go ahead and.
Oh yeah.
Floor is yours, Indy.
Okay, so just a couple of things really quickly. One is I wanted to make a little recruiting push for folks to join the committee and talk a little bit about some of the things that we do. One big kind of body of work, I'd say, is essentially just serving as a connector. So a lot of what we have done is actually just serving as like regular communication with school partners. So school facing stuff to help with things like grant applications, fundraising, being able to kind of build bridges with organizations like Groundwork and like with Miss Tony in order to connect folks, connect schools to those youth employment opportunities. So if you're interested in that kind of work, we'd love to have you. The other thing that actually has been really fun is I've gotten to know a number of Madisonville families just by being able to answer questions about schools. So it's another one of those things where, you know, if you're involved in schooling in some way as a parent or as a professional, and this is just another way that you want to get to know your neighbors, like we'd love to have you. So just want to say that, totally welcome. Our committee meetings generally are first Wednesday of the month at 6:30. Like Joan, hoping that we can meet in person soon. The last thing I'll say really quickly is that we've now released 2 of our interview videos with Madisonville neighbors, just sharing about stuff that they like and stuff that they're interested in. And the series is called Everyone's an Expert. If you are interested in finding out more, like check out the videos. I think they're cool. They're interesting conversations with people that live in your neighborhood or just have connections to or interest in Madisonville. So with all that, we're trying to release those every other Wednesday as well. So there should be another one coming up next week. And we're always looking for more people who just have stories to share and want to talk about what they're interested in. So, you know, so far we've had 2 pretty professional experts be able to share their ideas. Our first talk from Megan Brenneman was about breastfeeding and like newborn life. And our second talk with Bernica Smiley was kind of about a wide range of topics from multi-generational Madisonville resident, you know, young professional career development, like housing and development, and just some of the changes in the neighborhood. So while we always have space for conversations like that, and they're super interesting, especially that last one, kind of turned into this cool Facebook discussion to share some of the community and neighborhood history. As originally advertised, there's also room for you to just talk about your hobbies. So not everything has to be about your job. Not everything has to be about this deep history or community involvement. The example we shared earlier was if over the pandemic, you became this expert sourdough bread maker. Like we want to hear about that because I tried and I messed it up and I need some help. Amanda at one point as well have been like, anyone have any gardening tips that we can throw out there? And I know there are some master gardeners that live in Madisonville. So truly all ages, all kind of like levels of, I'd say, like seriousness or kind of like career focus versus personal focus. We're just really interested in highlighting the stories and trying to build more informal bridges with our neighbors, especially in a time when we can't exactly be in person in the exact same way. So if you personally have a connection to Madisonville or are interested in sharing something it is that you're passionate about, please get in touch, education@ourmadisonville.com or through any of the Madisonville social media. I also am more than happy to accept nominations. So if you know, hey, your neighbor is very skilled at XYZ or has a lot of passion and likes to come out on our porch and talk to me about X, Y, and Z, like I definitely want to know about that. And then we can make sure that we're actually capturing those stories and then are able to share them with the broader audience, because ultimately there should be a way that we can all kind of sit on our porches and talk together, right? So please reach out if you have any questions at all. Would love to chat more about that, as well as all things education related in the neighborhood. So thanks a lot, Kate. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. All right, and with that, we're going to go ahead and move over to our agency announcements. I'm going to kick it over to Kathy with Artsville.
Hey, good evening, Kate and everybody. Artsville is starting to reopen on a small scale. We've had several events now that have turned out very well, and we're looking forward to really getting us back to full swing here. We will be, currently we're working with Artworks. They will be in the building for the next 4 weeks, creating a mural that will be put on one of the new developments there at Madison and Wetzel. I'm excited to see that we have some Madisonville kids who are participating. So that's exciting for me. I'm really happy about that. We also, on May 7th, start watching the Artsville website. We'll put up the link for the Dragons Love Tacos for the Playhouse, where you can visit that virtually for, I think we have a 3-day window for Madisonville. So keep an eye on that, where you can log in and reserve your tickets. In July, we will be hosting the film camp with Kappa. So if you have a child who would be interested in that, you can reach out to either Kappa or to Artsville to get more details. On May 15th, there will be a book signing with Aaron Pullins with his new book and video, or movie, I should say. So that will be happening. Kind of keep an eye. There'll be a lot of more information that's going to come out on that. While I'm here, just let me also, as a part of SCAT, for those who, I think you've heard me talk about them before, it's Students Concerned About Today and Tomorrow, which is a organization that has been in existence for probably 30 years out here now and provided scholarships every year for those 30 years to Madisonville youth for college or for vocational school. This year, because we did not have any scholarships out for 2020, we have 4 this year for 2021 that will be going out. 2 for those who are already in their first year of college, I believe it is, who missed it last year, and then 2 for this coming year. So those applications are out. You can, I think they're at the rec center. We will have them there at the art center and at the library, and I'm not sure where else we've got them, but you can certainly reach out as well for that. Just to alert folks that on April 21st is Drug Take Back Day nationally. So if you have some old drugs and things that you need to get rid of, please contact us. as we're working with police as well as the local clinic to dispose of those drugs. So I think that's all I have. We're pretty busy. Things are opening back up and we're excited. So thank you.
Thank you, Miss Kathy. I'm going to go ahead and move it over. Is Jill still here with the children's home? Yes, she is.
I am.
Jill, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Where'd you go?
I don't know. I'm like, oh, there I am. I couldn't find my video either. So good evening, everybody. We are continuing to operate in person as we have throughout this entire pandemic. And I can't believe we are planning for our camp by Camp program, which is a 10-week summer program for elementary age children on our 40+ acre campus. We will be starting June 2nd and running into August. I was being prepared and I had it in the comments to send the link out and I accidentally hit send. So I sent it a little while ago on accident, but I'll have a link to information regarding camp, which is a full day program for those 10 weeks starting June 2nd on our Madisonville campus. Our preschool, which is a full year preschool, full day, full year. We do currently have openings. We are a 5-star rated site, and I will put a link out there as well for more information regarding that. Wanted to remind everyone as well, we have the Levine Family Health Center on our campus back at 5051 Duck Creek. It is a Cincinnati Health Department. They're open Mondays through Fridays from 8 to 4:30. If anyone needs to access that service. And we're continuing to ensure that all of our programs are meeting any COVID protocols. With our mental health services, we are continuing to provide in-person and also telehealth services. With any children's home services, we have one number to call, which is our 272-2800, and individuals are connected to our centralized intake and they can patch you through and give you the information needed for any programs you might have questions about. And that is it for my end.
All right, thank you, Miss Jill. I do see there was a hand up, Mr. Cavasser. I'm not sure if it was for Jill or if it was for Kathy, so the floor is yours.
It sounded like Kathy said for the drug take back, like it sounded like to me like she said April the 31st. So I need her to repeat that date because there is no April the 31st.
It's April 21st.
Okay, it sounded like you said the 31st. I thought, what?
I'm sorry, no, it's the 21st.
Okay, that's all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cavasser. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Jill. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Brian with the CRC. Welcome back. Did they win?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Well, it was just practice.
Okay.
So yes, they're winners. No, we have a lot of games this weekend, so I had to get it in. I apologize. But anyhow, the rec center is doing really, really well. We've got 7 spots open for our summer camp. We're almost full. So if you have inklings of wanting to get your child in something fun this summer, you better hurry up because they're going quick. 7 spots open. I'm thinking we'll fill up probably sometime this week or next week at the latest. Let's see here. What else we got going on? We're looking for staff. CRC in general is looking for lifeguards. We can open up more pools if we can get more lifeguards. Right now, we're opening up the pools based on the amount of lifeguards we have. So what the word on the street is if that we could get more lifeguards, then maybe Madisonville pool could open up. That's a maybe. So we just need more lifeguards. So if you know anybody that wants to make good money as a teenager and do something fun, CRC is the way to go. We're also accepting applications at the rec center. Love to hire some Madisonville people to go along with our current staff. We would like to hire about 2 or 3 more staff that'll work with the kids. we're pretty good on everything else. Just looking for day camp workers and people that are willing to work childcare. As far as the rest of our programs, we're open back up. So we're starting to get senior programs. I put a program guide out. They're available at the rec center, and I can email them to anybody that wants them in a PDF form. Our website is being rebuilt, so it's slowly. Some of the programs are slowly making their way onto the website, but right now all programs are in the program guide at the front desk. And I know I emailed several people. Kate, I believe, were you able to get the email I sent for that?
For lifeguard, for the job postings?
No, for the program guide.
For the program guide, yes, we're gonna get that out this week and get that shared.
Awesome, thank you. So we're looking for programs that we can socially distance, and anything that we've offered in the past that if we can make it to where it's safe, we're gonna open it back up. Our pool tables have been recovered. We got a new air hockey table. The building's cleaner than it's ever been. We're just ready for everybody to come back. So come back, enjoy the rec center. We've got stuff for you, and if we don't, we'll find stuff for you. And that's about it.
Awesome, thank you, Brian. With that, we're gonna pivot over to Alan with Groundworks. Tell us about what's going on at Groundworks and how we can make your life easier.
Right. Yeah. Hi. Thanks, everybody. How you can make my life easier. I have a newborn, so anybody want to take the like 3 a.m. shift? That would be super. Just kidding. We got a lot going on in Groundwork right now, and Madisonville is kind of front and center for a lot of that. Literally this afternoon, one of our youth work crews was at Bramble Park putting almost the finishing touches on this stairs connecting Bramble Park up to Murray Trail. If you haven't seen that, stop by, check it out. I think they have 2 more stair foundations up at the top that need some gravel, but other than that, the main construction is done. So that's really exciting. We are also getting stuff in the ground at the community garden, which is awesome. So we have some kind of hardy kale and collards and lettuce and things like that that are more cold tolerant, because please don't plant any tomatoes before like the 2nd week of May. The frost will kill them, and it's coming. I promise it's coming. It seems nice now, but it's coming. But we have some really cool plants in the greenhouse that will be going in the ground once that frost danger is gone. And all of those are being managed by our youth program that's running out of there. So we're in our 6th week of the spring program, and that's made up of kids from the CPS Lighthouse School right there, and a couple local residents that literally live across the street from the greenhouse and garden. So that's really exciting. We're waiting with bated breath to get those nice delicate plants in the ground once that frost is gone. What else do we got? So like Joan was saying, we were out at the iHeart Madisonville kind of work day. We were at the foraging garden. We were at the Murray Triangle and the Erie Planters with one of our work crews. That was awesome. There's some great volunteers from KCB out, and you know, it's looking good out there. We're excited to see all of that kind of pop off in spring. Spring's my favorite season. You get the amazing flowers, and then green starts returning, which is always good. What else we got? Little Duck Creek, we're getting ready to start or to help put in a little pollinator garden right next to the CWC school. We just had a meeting with some of the park conservationists to kind of get the green light on that. That was literally this afternoon, so that's awesome. We'll be bringing some of our youth down there to help install that and getting some of Parks mowers aware of these flowers being put in, because if you don't tell them, they'll come in and mow it down. So that's always fun. What else? Employment program, stairs, workday, Little Duck Creek, garden. That's my update. But yeah, there's more stuff coming. Spring is always a fun time because we never have enough time to talk about all the great work that everybody's doing. So I'll pause there and throw out the questions.
I have a question first off, Alan, for you with the pollinator garden by the trail there. Is that going to be by the trail, and is there going to be signage? Because I hear pollinator garden, I hear bees, I hear people that are allergic to bees potentially not using the trail. So I'm just curious about placement so that we can, because I know if we can proactively put signage up, things like that, so that people are aware.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we're still kind of in the planning stage for that. So it's one of the reasons I want to bring it up here and why we got approval from Parks before we jumped in and did anything. But yeah, signage always important, and also pollinator gardens also don't look particularly nice until those flowers bloom. So it looks pretty weedy. So signage is very, very important. So that's a really good point to bring up. Thank you. But yeah, well, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that and get something up so folk know the mess they're looking at in the fall is actually going to burst and be full of color and amazingness in the springtime. So yeah, absolutely.
Right on. Alex has his hand up, but he also put in the chat, he wanted to thank you for the cleanup and mulching at Rowan Trolley. And OOP's Owen was an excellent leader.
Owen's a good guy. He's one of our youth leaders. He was, to brag about Owen slightly, he was one of our green team high school employees, and now he has graduated into our youth employment program while he's pursuing his certificate of horticulture at Cincinnati State. He's amazing. I hear he did good work over the weekend. So awesome, Owen.
And wants to know if veggies will be sold at a regular fresh market at the garden.
Yeah. So that was something else that is on the agenda coming down the pipe. I was talking to Dominic, our partner at Brick Gardens, literally earlier today as well. Today was a busy day. And we are finalizing kind of the setup for that. And I think Dom is actually going out of town at the end of this month, but the first week of May, we are planning on doing that. So Elijah, there's an email with your name on it that Dom is crafting right now. I'm positive he's doing it. He told me he was doing it. He's sending it your way. And no, it's not overdue. I promise it's not overdue. But yes, there will. So that's something else I can talk about real quick. We are planning, and I'm sure Elijah will be as well, doing a farm stand at the community garden at the corner of Ward and Chandler, and hopefully Bee's Barbecue that's now open. Shameless plug for a good friend opening that. All those people will go over there and buy stuff from us as well. So that would be great. Yeah, that will be happening starting up in May. We're just trying to finalize some of the produce and where it's going to come from. Like I said, we're just now getting, well, we have some of the cold weather stuff in the ground, but tomatoes and peppers and, you know, all of the traditional summer stuff is not growing yet in the ground. So once that becomes available, we'll be churning that into the farm stand. But yes, look for that in basically the second week of May. And we'll organize with Kate and Elijah, I promise.
Perfect. And what a great segue. I know we don't have anybody here from the business chamber this evening, so I'm going to pivot over to Elishia. The floor is yours.
All right. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is telling me to unmute myself, but I already did, so that's weird. Bear with me. I got my second shot today, and I feel like I got hit by a bus, so we're there right now. Alan is underplaying all the awesome stuff that they are doing at Groundworks and with Brick Gardens. MCURC is kind of like an administrative partner in this. They are doing their normal farm stand, but if you have been reading any of the newsletters, the community newsletter, MCURC newsletter, I think MCC put something out, we've got it all over social media. That farm stand is going to be a mainstay, but the goal is that we're hoping to phase it into a progressive farmers market, because we know we have some major gaps to fill here in Madisonville to make sure everybody has access to food options and safe ones that they can get to regardless of their circumstances. So that is a process that we're working on. We've got partners at the city. There's been a lot of meetings, and Alan and Dominique are just amazing guys, and we're very grateful to have them in our community. Madisonville Diaries, it is a project a year in the making. It took us forever because, as it turns out, we have, like in Fair Verona here of Madisonville, the Montagues and the Capulets, and we hear from them constantly, but we're not hearing from like the other 9,000 people. We have a lot of folks who've lived in this community and invested in this community since like I was born, which turns out as of Monday was 40 years ago, and that's kind of scary. We want to hear from these folks, and we're trying to make a concerted effort to make sure that we don't lose voices in the enthusiasm of new folks that have moved in the last 5, 10, 15 years as things were beginning to transform. Every single person in this community is important, and we all should have a voice. So the first video came out. We've had outstanding feedback on this. It is one of many. Jordan is working on these. We are being very thoughtful. We are working to select people that do not have a ton of ties to the same folks we always hear from. We are working to hear from people that we don't hear from, that we don't always hear their name. We really want to make sure that we're showing perspectives from folks that we normally don't get them from. So please check out this video. It's very heartfelt. I cried. I was very excited when I heard their story about wanting to select Madisonville and why they came. It's the same reason why I think so many of us are here. It's why I want to work here. It's why I feel embraced here. And it's why I think almost all of you are here. So please check out that video, and there will be more coming. I think the goal is to have 4 a year. Next big piece of news, I think it's been plastered everywhere, but I have to say it again. By we, I mean Bramble Park through Cincinnati Parks was awarded $129,000 from ODNR. This is a grant that was written by a paid grant writer for that's been appointed by Little Duck Creek Trail Task Force. This person worked with MCURC. We provided oversight. I provided some information to put into the grant, anything we can do to beef up an application, make it stronger, and apparently it worked because we got a bunch of money coming. This is a city project, so MCURC is there to help. We've made that clear, but City of Cincinnati is going to be banging away at this one, but we are pumped because this is going to hopefully help us start rounding out the Little Duck Creek Trail. So this is fantastic news, and that's a lot of hard work. Big props to the task force and of course, Bill Collins, who has been spearheading this effort for years. And I think his enthusiasm and his dedication to the project is why we have such a cool amenity in our community. Speaking of parks and parks planning, Kate touched on it. We did have a really good turnout at I Heart Madisonville, despite the fact that it was cold, it was wet, and it looked like a very sad, sad day. It would have been a perfect day for Halloween, but it wasn't. We, I think, had 12 or 13 participants that weren't directly tied to any of the organizations that were there. We got some great feedback. Pretty much, there's some structural things that we want to see in the park. There's a lot of support for what's already happening, and we got some good feedback on the nature playscape. This is not an MCURC project. This is not an MCC project. This is a CRC project when it comes down to the nature playscape. We have been engaged to work on the public engagement piece. So MCC and MCURC are working together to make sure we're just getting good feedback, because at some point we have the awesome problem of a lot of people being super stoked on our park, because Bramble Park is awesome. The problem is everybody was super stoked and everybody was applying for grants and everybody was getting stuff. And at some point it was about to look like, you know, your great aunt's basement with just a ton of stuff in it and no purpose. So we wanted to really make sure that there's a plan that dictates how we move forward and that we have a point of contact and that we don't have all these separate entities kind of working against each other when we're all wanting the same thing. It's not an intentional thing that we're working against each other, just what happens when we're not communicating. So hopefully this plan creates that place for us to start communicating. This month, for the next basically 6 weeks, we are grant writing. I think we have 4 grants. We have our audit. Our retail study is going to kick off. Ann Boland is always just so inquisitive and asks great questions, and she was wondering about businesses. Well, from this, we will have a very solid list of retail businesses. This is a project 2 years in the making. It predates my coming on to MCURC. The city has been bogged down with a lot of stuff. It's taken them some time. It's a weird procurement process because we do have a consultant that was already pre-selected. So this week I'm technically on vacation. Clearly I'm really bad at vacation, but I'm on vacation. So I didn't see this email until tonight, but it's according to the city, we're ready to go finally after a very long time. So major props to the DCED staff member, Mark Von Alman, for making sure this got pushed forward. And I'm sure right now NBC is probably clapping their hands and cheering, or they're real mad that they're hearing about it first from here. But I literally didn't see the email until we were already in this meeting, so bear with me. Art Walk went great. Thanks to Artsville for helping out. Staff member Jordan McKittrick just killed it. We took notes. We know where we need to improve. We had great feedback from artists. I know artists made money, so that's always good. We love for our local artists to make money. We heard some great stories from artists. It's my understanding businesses had a little uptick in business. The next one will be better. We had awesome turnout considering it, once again, cold, rainy day. So our goal is when we do the next one, we're gonna try to talk to Mother Nature and make sure that we have some sunny, warm weather. Let's see, business district survey. I should have responses at the next meeting. Let's see. Okay, the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on. So there was like this weird thing that happened at I Heart Madisonville Day, and I couldn't really deal with it because I was trying to leave. I was leaving to go out of town directly after, but I got some phone calls. I think this thing happens because I live elsewhere, but work in Madisonville. And truthfully, most of my life is dedicated to Madisonville. So I feel like I live in both places. But I think because I have an outside perspective, sometimes people call me and talk to me about things because they need that bird's eye view. There's some really weird comments made. And so earlier I made that like kind of comparisons of the Capulets and the Montagues. You know, I get that we have different viewpoints on how things should happen, but if we get so nasty that we're gonna like boycott events or encourage people to not participate in things or to take really indirect measures to, I guess, sabotage efforts on the, you know, by MCURC or MCC or anyone else, I mean, like, don't kill Mercutio and don't make Mercutio be Madisonville. Like, it's just not, it's really counterproductive. It's not public service. We all want the same thing. So I'm just encouraging everybody to work together. If you run into this issue, because it was several phone calls, reach out to me. I don't want to know who says what, because I don't want to find myself disappointed in anyone I work with or that I talk to, because it is beyond disappointing. But please reach out, because maybe we can come up with some tactics for you to use when you have conversations with these folks that maybe can help them better understand that that enthusiasm they have could be used in a more productive and positive fashion, because we're not going to get anywhere if we have everybody warring with each other. It's kind of silly. So that's just my little tidbit from 15 years of experience working with a lot of communities and seeing this happen and how south it can go. So on that note, I will be returning to vacation after this meeting, but if you have questions pertaining to anything I talked about that we don't answer tonight, please feel free to email me. It will be next week before I get back to you though.
Thanks, Elishia. Right now, there aren't any questions for, well, wait, somebody else raised their hand. I had a couple questions for Alan. Alan, we're gonna get your questions answered. That's okay first, and then we'll pivot back to Elishia for just a second, because I apologize. I skipped Alex with his questions. Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Alan, I just want to shout out, first off, hang in there with the new baby. It all changes in about 18 years. It goes back like a snap. But nonetheless, Owen was great. We had a great event. Awesome. I just so appreciate your presence in our community. We had, you know, we had 20 plus people cleaning up the foraging garden. I'm sure I'm repeating some stuff, Madison, but Rowan and Trolley were taken care of by TQL out of Batavia. Is that correct? Or Claremont County. They showed up strong. And then we just had random people showing up. So everybody else can understand. I have a standing volunteer request every other month to clean up Madisonville in whatever way they can help through Keep Cincinnati Beautiful. And we're getting just people showing up from Anderson, from Mason, and they're just showing up and helping out. So that being said, just really thank that. And we buffed up the parks, we buffed up, you know, the foraging garden, and we're ready to go forward with as the season grows. So really appreciate your presence. It's important. So I just wanted to say that and be clear about that. Thank you.
Hey, Alex, I'm still waiting for your band manager to kind of give me some gig dates for your next performance. So once that happens,
it's going to be at the Blue Ash Brewing, and I'm shredding on Gimme Shelter, I Can See for Miles, nice. And Oh Darling. So yeah, come on, people. Thank you.
All right, that's an inside joke. Alex is taking classes at School of Rock and is a aspiring rock star, and we should all be supportive.
Thank you.
Yeah. That just means I'm gonna reach out to Josh and make sure that Alex is part of the band for Tuesdays at the Park. Oh, excellent. Alan, I did have another question from Beverly. She wants to ask you about your thoughts on the oncoming cicadas, and will they impact our overall flora and fauna negatively?
Yeah, that's it's a good question. I was literally fielding one of those today. I get one of those weekly, daily. At this point, everyone is very, very curious about cicadas. Yeah, question mark. I was in high school the last time Brood X popped up, and I don't remember them. I'm a skeptic. It's not great, but I do kind of have a rule of thumb as far as young plants. Those are probably the ones that are the most at risk. So in like fruit trees and trees that we're planting, anything under 6 months will cage in like tubing and put tule cloths, just like some kind of netting on top that keeps them out. Just because they're so young and sensitive that when cicadas munch on them, that can really negatively affect them. But older, more mature plants and trees, probably okay. But yeah, we were planting some trees in Lower Price Hill yesterday with the youth group, and we found a couple of them coming up. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. This is the first year of my professional life that I've had to deal with them in this context. So that's my take on it. Good question.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Mr. Capister, you had a question. I'm not sure if it was for Elishia or for Alan.
This is for Elishia.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, you also, since we passed over the business chamber, and you might be able to answer this, might be into new business. In Newport last week, I encountered Walgreens at the corner of Carruthers in 27, where there is a Kroger Express location. And it's something brand new over that they're trying out there. The Walgreens and Kroger are working together, which I found surprising because their pharmacies compete against each other. But it was kind of neat to see the fresh produce, and Walgreens has actually given Kroger 2 aisles that they can market their canned goods as well. But my wife was reading about it, and she knows about it being piloted in Chicago as well. And I would think that this would fall into kind of a development type of thing that to kind of deal with the food desert question as well. That I don't know if anyone has approached Kroger with this question, but it would be a real good answer for some of our food desert problems. And so I don't know whether this is a business chamber question, a development question, or just new business.
This is, it definitely is something that MCURC can speak to and should be speaking to. I actually have one of those right by my house too, and it is nice. I get to run up there and get fresh produce, whereas before I had to like physically get in my car and drive. It's not a Kroger thing so much as a Walgreens thing. So it's Kroger partnered with Walgreens. So to have this amenity, you have to have the Walgreens. Now, Kroger does have some small stores that they have been using through trial and error. However, it's my understanding, and based off conversations I've had, Kroger has like a 5-year plan, and they have very specific locations that they vetted out and they use through some strategic planning process to identify the locations for these. It's my understanding that before I came on board, folks from MCURC and MCC were speaking to Kroger. So this is like an ongoing, we keep getting the kind of the same answers. Now, obviously, if there was a Walgreens that went in, I think that discussion would change because like I said, that is a Walgreens program that you're referring to, where they partner with Kroger. I don't think that's the worst idea ever, but it is once again where would the Walgreens go, and is Walgreens interested? We could always reach out. Walgreens also has a tendency to choose and select very specific locations. They have a tendency to choose locations that are on corners and that were prior used as other businesses, generally speaking. So I don't know if we have anything that fits the bill like that in Madisonville. And I don't know what the reasoning is behind that, other than I'm assuming it's a cost savings with the resources they have to redevelop a site. We are MCURC, MCC, MBC, folks in the community. There's a couple different groups of stakeholders that are just very interested in addressing this issue. And of course, Alan Groundworks folks from the city, we got Green Umbrella in part of these conversations. Everybody's working to address this issue. One problem we are running into is it is our understanding there is something that is coming to one of our locations on the Madison Business District. We don't know what that is, and until we know what that is, we don't want to start actively engaging with small grocers because we don't want to try to go through the process of recruiting them if something like that is coming. That would then deter them. So we're trying to find these other solutions while hopefully we hear any day now what's coming, because it wasn't stated that it would be a grocery. It was stated that it would make us very happy, to which Kate and I said in a meeting, what would make us happy is a grocery. And they said, you would be happy, but we don't know what that looks like. And so like I said, until we have confirmation on what this new business is going to be. And I have literally heard probably like 7 different rumors, ranging from everything from a grocery to like a vape store or something. So, which I don't think it's that. But at this point, we really need to get confirmation on that, because I don't feel it's productive or even really thoughtful to engage with businesses and gain their interest if they would then not want to come because of direct competition that was already known to be coming. So we're kind of trying to be patient while actively trying to fill the gaps in the meantime.
And you had a question. I'm not sure if it was for Alan and Alan's left, or if it was for Elishia.
It's a cicada answer. So I'm going to not raise my hand now. So, but I'm sure Elishia will love to know this. So the cicadas do not eat vegetables. They are not vegetarians. Cicada, and I've had to do a lot of research because I manage the grounds, the garden beds, vegetable garden beds here at St. Paul Village. So once they are above ground, adult cicadas only feed on juices from woody shrubs and young tree twigs. Say that fast. Tree twigs. Like oak trees, willow trees, and maples. Now, having said that, there will be a gazillion cicadas, which means any one group of cicadas will land on almost anything, whether they're eating it or not. So from a planting vegetables standpoint, protect them. It's not going to be that they are going to be eaten, but they will be sat upon, by the cicadas, and you don't want that much weight on any young plant or it will break it off probably fairly close to the ground. So you'll lose it if you don't cover it.
That is good to know. Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
I'm not aware of that.
But they're going to be yucky. You do not want to be out. You might want to get one of those the beekeeper's masks, the whole beekeeper outfit, if you want to go outside and garden. They're not going to eat your vegetables, but they might land on you, and that's not pleasant.
Very true. All right, thank you, Ann. TJ, are you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
TJ, the floor is yours. TJ from Meek.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having Meek being represented. Glad to hear everyone's doing well as everything's opening back up. Not a whole lot of new information. Just upcoming distribution is this Tuesday, April 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Other big important news is that starting the summer, we will be having summer hours. So the first Tuesday, which would be May 4th, that'll be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The third Tuesday, which is May 18th, that'll be from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So the first Tuesday will always be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The third Tuesday of each month will be 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that's also May 18th. And I have a flyer for all the upcoming dates, because we will be closed during the 4th of July and Memorial Day weekend. So we will have to adjust our schedules for that. But I have flyers that I'm going to share with you all once my turn is up, which is now. So thank you once again, and hope everyone has a great night.
Kate, you're on mute.
Hey, there were any questions for TJ? No. All right, moving on to old business. I do have a couple of quick updates. One is for 6007 Madison Road, the old community garden site. I've had several people inquire about that. I was informed by the city today that they intend to, so it's the intent of the city to finalize the disposition of the property to Bill Carroll. They're currently working on a term sheet, so price has not yet been determined. This is tentatively scheduled to go before Planning Commission on May 7th. It is my understanding that they are going to be looking for a tax abatement for the adjacent property of the 6111 Madison Road. I did ask DCED to share with me once the term sheet is finalized, because I know initially a year and a half ago there were tentative provisions put in place for relocating of the community garden and some of the requirements for that. So we'll keep you guys updated on what's going on with that, as well as if that goes forward to Planning Commission on the 7th, since that is a city property. Any questions about that? With that, we're going to go to a new business this evening. We have Ryan Clo here with Dubwerx. Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and share your screen. Hi, Ryan. Sorry for the late hour.
No problem. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I own Dubwerx. It's the former Just Saab dealership. I've been there around 6 years, and around last November we had a couple of break-ins, and really haven't had many break-ins over the years, and it just kind of kept happening. We took some measures with mixed success, but the person kind of keeps coming back. I know that we're not the only business to have cars broken into. At this point, we're up to around 13 or 14 cars that have been broken into, paying for a mobile surveillance tower that costs around $2,000 a month. So I've applied for a permit to put a fence up front, and the current code allows for a 4-foot fence, which, if you can imagine, probably wouldn't be much of a theft deterrent. So I'm asking the city for a variance instead of 4 feet to allow a 6-foot fence. There are many 6-foot fences. I'm surrounded by 6-foot fences at various businesses. I mean, I can share pictures if you like. All of those are chain link fences, and this would be a pretty kind of a wrought iron type black fence. I care about what my business looks like, and I'm not excited to put a fence up. I might still see if I can get away without doing it, but ultimately I need my customers to feel safe leaving their cars there. So that's pretty much the quick story. I mean, I could talk more, but as you said, it's late, so I might just kind of leave it at that. I would hope to get a letter of support that I could take to my zoning hearing, but if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Okay. I do have, Ryan, I do have the proposed conditions, the drawing up that we can share. So Ryan is looking for a letter of support for a dimensional variance for an additional 2 feet. Currently, the zone requirement is 4 feet. He's asking to allow for a 6-foot fence. Thank you, Bob and Liz, for moving to support the letter. We do have a motion on the floor. Is there a second so we can open up for discussion? Several seconds. There are 5. We'll go ahead and open it up for discussion. I'm going to share the screen, Ryan, just so everyone, if they haven't had a chance to see the visual,
sure.
Can see the visual. This is the type of fence that Ryan is talking about installing. It would just be connecting, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, connecting from the existing picket on the back end across the front
Yes.
to the building.
That's correct.
So just basically fully encompassing and fencing in this section here.
Yes.
The city is tentatively signing off on it. The Cincinnati Police Department, because of the number of runs, I've not heard any objections. So at this point, we can open it up for discussion. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because I can't see people. I apologize. I'm gonna lower hands, and then if people have questions, you can raise your hand back again. And you've got a question?
I do, and I unraised my hand. Ryan, last week we had I fully support your proposal, but last month, we had a lengthy discussion with the police captain and then our area neighborhood guy. Did you get a visit from them, and did they offer some additional recommendations to you? The reason I ask is because I was concerned, as were many other people, that you had so many break-ins and they hadn't already been in touch with you. So it wasn't, did they come out to you, but why didn't they get in touch with you before then?
Well, yes, Al Brown did come out, and he did do a walk around on the property and gave me some recommendations, which I did perform. I think as to why they didn't come, they get crime reports all the time. These were spaced out enough that I don't blame them for. I just imagine a stack of reports, throughout the entire district. It would have taken me probably getting more, and we did, honestly, we did get in touch with Al Brown probably around the 8th or the 9th break-in, and then at some point I met with some other security professionals, and a fence kind of became the leading recommended solution. And then I think I reached out to the council, and at that point is when I think it kind of got brought back up again. So I'm not disappointed at all about their participation. I think it was more on me that I honestly just kept thinking it would stop. I'm like, this can't just keep going. So I didn't really pursue it as much.
Thanks, Ryan. Were there any other questions for Ryan? Amanda, any questions online or in the chat?
No.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, I can stop sharing the results for that. I'm going to go ahead and open up voting. So it's a motion to support the dimensional variance of an additional 2 feet for a fence installation of 6 feet at 6323 Madison Road. This is an all-skate, and by all-skate, because we're talking about a variance that affects the entire neighborhood. Everyone that's in Madisonville, it's a Madisonville resident, is eligible to vote. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Kathy, you had a question?
I guess it's more a comment than a question, Kate. I guess I'm really disappointed that you have had so many break-ins at your business and you're resorting to having to put up a 6-foot fence. That's disheartening. I would have hoped that we would have gotten a little bit more attention from District 2. I know we've had a lot more activity in the community than gets reported, but certainly with that many break-ins, I would have hoped that there would have been a more concentrated effort put towards your business. So, I fully support what you're trying to do, but it's disappointing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, I'm going to leave this open for a couple more minutes. Thank you, Ryan. I'll post the results in the chat. You'll see me post them here shortly. While we're giving people time to vote, I'm going to turn it over to back over to Elishia. She's got a couple of requests for the NDBIP program.
Kate, can you let me screen share?
I suppose.
Thank you.
I gotta figure out how to replace Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. I don't really mean replace you, but there you go, Elishia. You should be all set to screen share.
Okie doke. Well, why am I not finding the PowerPoint? Oh, here we go. All right, it's late. I know people have stuff to do, so I'm going to breeze through this, ask questions after. I'll happily answer. So MCURC wants to apply for two 2021 NDBIP applications. One is for a minor project, one is for a major. Application request, the minor application request is for $25,000 for bicycle racks throughout the Madison Road Neighborhood Business District. The major application is $150,000 for the CoSign program. So you're probably itching to ask questions. Like I said, just hang on to the end. We'll get through it and get to you. What is NDBIP? The rundown, there is a consortium of neighborhood business districts that is ran through the city of Cincinnati. We are a part of that. The MBC is like our main rep, and then we provide the technical support for that, and we do a lot of the grant writing and grant administration. This is the Neighborhood Business District Improvement Program. These funds are literally there to support our designated business districts. The grant awards, award limits and uses, the minor, I believe, is either, I think it's 50,000, it could be 75, I think it's 50, and I believe 250,000 is the limit on the major projects. These can be used, the major projects, for anything from procurement of property to redevelopment of property. We can also use the minor programs for things like parking lot repairs, bike racks. There's a myriad of things that you can apply for with this, and we have been awarded many of these grants in the past, and a lot of the cool improvements we've been making within our neighborhood business district have been made possible because of the NDBIP grant. So we're very grateful for those. Prior grants, we have used them for property purchases, pedestrian improvement studies, redevelopment funding. We do have some outstanding grants. We've got the redevelopment of 6012 that's still out there from NDBIP funds, the retail study, which I mentioned earlier, which is going to kick off finally. There's some walkability, which actually MCC has been working with DOT, I think, on that, right, Kate? And then the facade program, which has been a wonderful program to help our businesses improve the aesthetics on their properties. It's also an administrative nightmare. So later on, when I make a comment about that, you'll understand why I said it. Right there, Flat Frank, we all love Frank Henson, shout out. I'm hoping he is doing better things than watching this, but if he's watching it, hi, Frank. So when I showed up to Madisonville, I heard from multiple people. So this wasn't like from like two small groups of people, like a lot of our things are. This is from like multiple groups of people mentioning how they'd like to see bike racks and a bike rack system implemented within the neighborhood business district. I am a huge fan of these. I have worked on these in other neighborhoods and other communities. So this is not something that I'm sad about having to do. And the Frank Henson, the Flat Frank, is just a super cool artistic bike rack. And with us having the public arts initiative within our neighborhood business district, it only adds to that. So that's why you're seeing that dude right there. The other racks we're looking at, we'd want to do, I think, like 3 or 4 of the Flat Franks. Obviously, those are probably going to have a concentration more in the central part of the business district. And then there's this really cool thing where you can get these laser cut fabricated U racks. And a lot of communities use these. I don't know why I did this. I made a little mess up when I picked 2 black ones, because they can actually be any color. Some of them can be like multicolored. You get to pick like a logo. So you could do the Madisonville M. We could even like create something else that's very indicative just for the business district. There's a million ways you can handle this. You kind of get an idea of some of the cool stuff you can do with this. So the goal would be to have these positioned strategically throughout the business district to encourage cyclists to visit Madisonville, to stop as they drive through Madisonville. We want our Madisonville residents that don't necessarily have vehicles to be able to ride their bike and have a safe place to keep their bike. We want cyclists that are driving through to stop and have a safe place to keep their bike. We also have been talking about parking issues, like people are concerned we don't have enough parking. We'll encourage people to ride their bike instead of drive their car. This can assist with cutting down the parking issue. I'm not going to read all of this. I believe that this will be made available on MCC's shared drive. So if you want to go back through and look at this, feel free. Amanda, if you don't mind taking care of that for us, that would be awesome. But basically, the business district, we want to support the business district. We have this awesome little Duck Creek Trail bike trail that's tying us in and creating connectivity to the Crown Network. And we are connected officially now to Wasson Way. As we do this, we have an influx of cyclists. Why wouldn't we want to support our businesses and help attract the cyclists to stop and spend their money here in Madisonville, see what Madisonville has to offer, and either become friends of Madisonville or potentially future residents of Madisonville? Why wouldn't we want our own residents to have a safe way to ride their bike to the business district? Budget, like I said, we want, I think it's like 4 flat Frank racks. The cost, and this is, we obviously are going to estimate a little high to make sure that we're not going to have any issues as costs for materials increase, about $12,000. And then for 10 additional designed racks, we're assuming between $700 to $900. And then of course, we're also trying to take into consideration the cost for installation So that's where the 25,000 comes from. We would rather estimate over rather than under. Like I said, material costs keep going up. So the major application, this is a program that I am super excited about. Right here, you're seeing the Kung Food Marasia sign. So if you've ever been to Kung Food in Covington, Kentucky, you know those Hao Fun noodles are pretty stellar. This is during the unveiling of CoSign. So what CoSign is, it is a program. It is ran by the American Sign Museum, and it's in conjunction with BLDG, which is a Covington-based design firm. And the program teaches local business districts how to create a sense of place through signage. This program has been extremely successful in multiple communities. They've used it, I think, twice in Northside. I believe there's one other Cincinnati community. Covington, Kentucky, they've used them on the West Coast. I mean, like there's multiple cities that have reaped the benefits of this program. This program is a result of seeking solutions to the online shopping program. And now it's going to kind of address the issues that have arisen because of the pandemic. So it's an innovative program that utilizes the arts, community engagement, and designed to meet the challenge and opportunity for supporting business districts. This is a creative placemaking tool, and it's something that can have a lasting impact and a positive impact on our businesses far above and beyond the actual sign itself. The participants in the program, you get trained to be local CoSign project managers. There's a toolkit. The cool thing about this is this toolkit that we get for the Madison Road Business District can be used to replicate the program at Madison and Wetzel or at Red Bank. Of course, the funding, we would have to seek funding for that, but at least we would have the toolkit. So we would have all the elements there to redo this and support those businesses that we so often can't get funding to support in the same manner as we do on Madison Road. The businesses are, involved the whole time. We are creating a sustainable business district. This lends to all the public arts initiative that we've been working on. Plus, it just creates a more eye-catching, clean, and cohesive business district that kind of just shows us coming together as a community. So the goal, create a sense of place, encourage redevelopment of blight property, draws attention to the district. And then, like I said, we get to retain this toolkit so we can replicate the program. The process kind of goes through, you have your training, then you have your workshops, and then you have design, fabrication, and they do use local artists and sign makers. And then we have a big unveiling, which I've been a part of, the unveiling in Covington. Super cool to see so many people come out and check out signs for businesses. And you know what? When people come to your business to look at your new sign, they're also going to come in your business and probably spend some money after. And it's generally quite a few people. There are some case studies. If Amanda does share this, you will see that I've given you the links. You can go read about these. One of the things I think is super cool, the Covington project was featured in the 2014 National Endowment for the Arts annual publication. So rock on. Also, this fun sign might be one of the coolest things I've ever seen for a business. I'm like, how creative is that? That's just neat. All right, the budget, it's $10,000 for the toolkit. Like I said, we get to reuse it, planning for 10 to 13 businesses right now. So that's why we're asking for the $150. For any of our businesses that are listening to me right now and they're going, oh my gosh, like we're so grateful for the facade program, except for I had a migraine for 9 months while I tried to use my money. This is not like the facade program. This will not be multiple contracts with each business. This is one large program that receives funding, and MCURC will work with the program to implement through or with the funding from the city of Cincinnati. So this will not be like multiple small projects that require all this extra paperwork. I know it's been maddening. It's a little maddening for me with the facade program. Not that we're not grateful, but it's rough. So this is not like that. Before we get to questions, let's see if this will play. I have a short video, bear with me, 3 minutes, and then we'll hit this one home.
Elishia, you can't hear the sound if there's sound to this.
You what?
You can't hear the sound if there's sound to this video.
Oh, Okay, well, I don't know how to fix that. Okay, well, everybody can go look at the video then when Amanda shares the links, because I'm hearing it just fine. So I apologize for that, everybody. Well, then we'll move on. All right, well, questions, answers to questions before questions. Both of these programs are statistically proven programs that effectively support business districts. I've worked with communities that have used both. We do have outstanding projects. I know some people get concerned if you have outstanding projects, will you get more money, or are you capable, do you have the capacity to administer these programs? Yes, we do. All the programs that are not complete yet, there are very specific reasons why they're not, and it's not due to negligence on MCURC's part or lack of participation from our business district. And everything has been supported by the business chamber. These programs will both have significant impact on our business district and will create opportunity for small business. So yay, we want to support our small business. And then CoSign has been on break. So if you were wondering about that, they are willing to come out of hibernation for Madisonville. I like to think it's just because we are really awesome. So with that, if you have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer.
We do have a couple of questions. There's one in the Q&A. Are you working with James Billeter, who designed the flat franks? Jimmy's parents are still Madisonville residents.
We will work with whoever designs them. We haven't worked with anyone yet because we haven't gotten the funding yet.
Okay. Alex, you had a question?
But you follow up with what you just said, which is excellent. Yes, we should definitely engage with James Batelier, who did the mural on the underpass at Madison and Kenwood. He's a local artist. Frank Henson, of course, is a very big resident of Madisonville. So we need his presence, even though he's living the big life in South America someplace. And then the CoSign is very intriguing to me as a landscape designer, a landscape architect. I think they're going to be better than the hanging signs that we have right now in front of the businesses at the Manifest building. We need to get rid of those. Those are in the way of the pedestrian traffic. They don't look good. We need to have signage that's very good. I grew up in Seattle. Pike Place Market designed signage, and that's why Pike Place Market is a tourist attraction, because they made it that way. So those are my intakes. We got the American Sign Museum. I think this is great stuff, Elishia. Excellent. Let's keep this moving forward. We want to identify this neighborhood as a go-to neighborhood, and that's what we're doing. So love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Hey, Alex, make sure you go check out CoSign's website. Look at the case studies. Covington specifically, just because I was part of like their unveiling day. We had a coinciding event, basically, that we tied the two together to make it even bigger. It's amazing. And if you've been to Covington, where they did it was the Madison Pike and Pike Street corridor. It's where Hotel Covington and Braxton was. I think there were like 7 businesses at the time. And if you've been down there now, it is literally the fastest growing area within the city of Covington. It's, in my opinion, it's where I go now instead of Main Straw. So yeah, it's effective. This works.
Thank you. We'll do. Bike ride. Thank you.
Amanda, were there any other questions online or in the chat?
There are not.
Okay, we kind of did this backwards. We'll do one motion and then the other. First, I'm going to share the results for the dimensional variance. It was 18 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 abstention. So we'll get that letter of support over to Ryan tomorrow. We will go ahead, if we could get a motion on the floor, we'll do each NDBIP request separate. Can we get a motion on the floor to support the request for bike racks? Thank you, Anne. We've got you as first. Is there a second? Mr. Capus, your hand was up, so we'll have that as a second. I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll. MCURC requests a letter of support for the 2021 NDBIP minor application to fund bike racks within the Madison Road Business District. And then for the sake of time, while we have that poll running, we'll let that poll run for 3 minutes before we do the other, actually, we'll go ahead and do a first and a second. Charlie's going to probably yell at me for going out of Robert's rules. Mr. Capusser has got a first for the major grants. I've got Alex as the second. give everybody just a couple more minutes to vote on that first. With everyone's permission, I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. We have 14 in favor, 1 opposed, and 2 abstentions. I'm going to go ahead and release the poll for the NDBIP major grant. MCURC requests a letter of support for the 2021 NDBIP major application to fund the CoSign program to support creative sign design for businesses within the Madison Road Business District. I'm going to go ahead and launch that. And while we're letting that last vote run, we'll go ahead and open it up to general body announcements.
I do have a few questions, Kate, that have come in throughout the meeting,
Okay.
relevant to Elishia, actually. Both are from Hunter on Facebook. The first question is, where is the application process at for 6012 Madison Road, and what are the plans for this building?
The application process? There was a grant application process we went through in 2019. That's complete. And then there was another grant that was submitted last year for the redevelopment. That process, we are now officially kicking off and moving forward. We're in design stage. The funding we received was for redevelopment, but it's only going to cover a portion. It's like a $1.2 million project. And we got, I think, like $200,000. So our funding is going to pay for stabilization. And then the end use has been planned to become a restaurant. The restaurant's going to employ, I think, 21 or create 21 jobs. It will be, they are a good community partner. They've not made their public announcement, so I don't want to steal their thunder. That would be rude, so I'm not going to. But it is a known group of individuals. One is a Madisonville resident. They are very capable of delivering. It's going to be a great asset to the community. It's something a little different, so it's going to create jobs. It's going to provide a needed restaurant that's a sit-down restaurant, and they are also have already discussed their willingness to create shelf-stable items to be used at the farmers market, which would support us filling this gap on our food scarcity issue.
Thank you. His second question is, are we able to petition for a bike lane on Madison and Plainville?
I'm going to turn that over to Kerry Debris because I think he has a canned answer on that one.
For Madison and was it Plainville?
Yeah.
Well, to be blunt, the current administration is hostile to on-street bike infrastructure of any kind. The only reason, so if you listen to the news and you saw that there is one in Uptown on Clifton Avenue as a pilot program, that was done because of private funding, essentially, from the Devu Good Active Transport, Devu Good Foundation. So basically, no, the city doesn't support on-street bike infrastructure. Only off-street.
Yeah. That's all I have online, and I don't see anything else in the Q&A, Kate.
All right. Well, if there are no further questions or comments, we will consider this meeting to, oh, did I share the poll results from the last poll? I can't remember. If I didn't, for the major, 14 in favor, 0 opposed, 3 abstentions. With that, if there are no further questions or comments, we will see you all next month. I don't remember what day that is. Oh, it's my birthday. We'll see you next month on May 20th. Everybody have a good rest of your evening, and thanks for joining this evening.
Thanks, guys.
Did we answer all of the, we did. Done. Franks.